beginning of the week had been maybe tilting towards dovish.
Well, I think this is dovish. Basically, he's saying we're all but saying we're done. And he's important because he, by sort of tradition and definition, doesn't ever vote against the chairman. So if you know where John Williams or the New York Fed president is, you kind of know where Jay Powell is. And I would expect something like this from Powell tomorrow. Chris Waller got everybody's attention by saying, well, at some point we can cut interest rates, but he didn't say when, and that's going to be the big issue. The dot plot already had them cutting rates in 2024. It's really a question of how fast inflation comes down and when they would get to it, but they don't want to put a timetable on it. So Williams didn't, and I wouldn't expect Powell to either.
Let me qualify myself. Hawkish compared to what the market is pricing in, because quite some time, you look at what's being priced in right now, it's quite a little bit of time, maybe a few months here.
Well, we're looking at roughly May for a rate cut, and that all depends on how fast inflation goes down. Bill Ackman was talking earlier this week about the first quarter. That would require inflation to come down even faster to get to the point where the Fed feels it can start the rate cutting process without derailing the inflation fight. The only other way to do it is if we had a recession, which nobody at this point, the narrative, as you said, at this point is not tell us that.
Yeah, it's a fun thought exercise to think about what it would take to actually get rate cuts in the first quarter. Our thanks to Bloomberg International Economics and Policy Editor Mike McKee. And it does feel like one of the main events of this week. I know that we got a lot of economic data that's fun to parse through, but to hear from Jerome Powell, one of his, I think it's the last opportunity for him to speak before the December Fed meeting, could be consequential.
Definitely. Anytime he opens his mouth, it's consequential. I believe the onus is really on him not to sound too dovish at this point relative to what is being priced into the market. It's interesting that Waller did talk about rate cuts but gave no mention of timing, because up until that point, the only mention of rate cuts from everyone saying we're not even close to talking or thinking about rate cuts.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good point, that the mission here is to not even give the appearance of being dovish. I mean, if their mission truly is to stay on hold for some time here, this is clearly a market that wants to lean dovish, wants to price in those rate cuts. But coming up on the close, external theft and internal shrink pose a threat to Ulta's third quarter margins. We'll preview what to expect when the health and beauty retailer reports after the closing bells. This is The Close on Bloomberg.